Hey everyone, Josh here at House Guitars and Canadian Luthier Supply, and this video is a follow-up, a little bit overdue to the video I shot a little while ago showing how I handle the radiusing of an acoustic guitar top and taking into account the factors that are going to produce the proper neck angle that I want as I construct the guitar. Now, I forgot to shoot the follow-up video with the same instrument I used in the first video, so I had to wait until I had another guitar at that same stage, and that's what I have here. So I'd encourage you to go back and watch the first video. You can find it on my channel. In that video I explain how I brace my tops and then how I sand the rim to match that, but essentially everything from above the sound hole. So the X brace is going to come up here, and it's going to end somewhere around here, and then I have the upper transverse brace going across the top just above the sound hole. And so the way I build my tops is everything above the sound hole is flat, everything below the sound hole is radiused, and in this case I'm using a 28-foot radius. Now, at the end of the last video I had just finished sanding the rim using first a radius dish, following that up with a flat sanding board in order to establish the angle. And as I left things at the end of the last video, I was just going to glue the top on the instrument. So here I have an instrument that has just had the top glued on, and what I'm looking for is, if I take a long ruler or a straight edge, I want to be able to lay this on the upper bout. And you can see I've marked the saddle location here with this little tick. This is a 12 fret instrument, so it's pushed the saddle a little bit further down the body than you might be used to seeing. But I want to be able to set a straight edge on here, and I want the gap at the saddle location to be 2 millimeters. Now, I'm not going to try and show you exactly what it is. I just can't do that and shoot the video at the same time. But having just glued the top on this guitar and cleaned it up just a little bit, I have checked the neck angle, and I find that it is almost exactly 2 millimeters, the measurement that I'm shooting for. And as I described in the previous video, that's how things should turn out. If you follow the steps in the video as I do them, then you should end up with an approximate gap at the saddle location of 2 millimeters. Now, it's common for me to get to this stage and find that my gap is a little bit off. Usually it is a little shallow, so I have something less than the 2 millimeter gap. But that's very easy to correct. I just use a series of sanding blocks, and if I need a little more gap at the saddle location, it just means I sand a little more of an angle. This is exaggerated, but I just sand a little more angle into the portion of the top above the sound hole, increasing the gap until I get to 2 millimeters. And some guys have specialized jigs set up to precisely sand that 2 millimeters in there. I've always found it pretty easy to do freehand. I'm just always careful to check and make sure I'm maintaining flatness in both directions so that the fretboard has a flat surface to glue to, and I'm not creating any unevenness as I sand. But it shouldn't take much to dial in that angle. And so the next step on this guitar would be to install the binding. And so I would install the binding, and then after it's cleaned up, I just come back here with my straight edge once again, and I check that angle one more time. And if it's moved a little bit from the sanding I've done to clean up the body up here around the upper bout or something, I just dial it back in. Usually some 120, 150 sandpaper on a block up here. I can fine tune that angle so I end up with my exact measurement of 2 millimeters. And then from that point, when I cut my neck joint, I simply cut the dovetail to match the same angle as my straight edge. And I've got a fancy jig from the Luthier Tool Company. Highly recommend it. Best jig on the market for neck joints as far as I'm concerned. And that jig just lets me dial in the angle of the neck to precisely match what I've established here as the neck angle. And once I'm able to have the neck in the dovetail and lay that straight edge, you know, right from the nut position all the way up the body, I know that I'll be able to glue my fretboard on without there being a discrepancy in the angle at the body. And I will have exactly what I need for a proper neck angle, which will result in proper string height and saddle height, and kind of all those key measurements I'm going for around the bridge. So I hope this just clears up the last step in the process of establishing the neck angle. Again, this is the method I use. Guys and girls do this all different ways, and there is no right or wrong way, as long as you're able to reliably and accurately come up with that measurement that you need for the proper neck angle. So thanks for watching. You can go back through my YouTube channel, find some other videos that outline just some of my building process, behind the scenes stuff, model overviews. And as I said in my last video, if you need radius sanding dishes, sandpaper for flat sanding boards, I do sell those through my website, CanadianLuthierSupply.com. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment or contact me through one of the contact pages on my websites, and I will do my best to respond to you as quick as I can. Thanks for watching.